what matters most, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. When the day gets loud, we cut through the crowd. When the feed runs wild, we keep it straight and style. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News.
Oh, yes. Welcome to Monday night's PNN News. We are glad you are here. Lots going on. We continue. Third straight day of strikes into Iran. These are heavy strikes. The president says he's going after Pickaxe Mountain. We'll get to that in a minute. The president says he's attacking Iran capabilities related to the Strait of Hormuz. Said on Monday, today, that the United States was attacking Iran's capabilities related to the Strait of Hormuz amid renewed military action between the two countries. The U.S. military said on Monday it was launching fresh strikes against Iran. But Trump told reporters at the Oval Office on Monday that he had not decided that a negotiated settlement could not be reached with Tehran. He also said that there are Iranian drones in Cuba, much like we reported from former presidential candidate Jeb Bush. He said if they do have that, they might very well have, we'll take care of it. We're not going to have a problem. We're not going to allow this to happen. So it could be that they're storing some. We're looking into it now. I don't think that they're too worried about that. Jeb Bush was. I don't think they were. Continuing in the news, third day of strikes on Iran, video coming out. We're trying to verify. Many different sources are showing some of that. They hit strikes across the country. Third straight and consecutive night, or we should say. The CENTCOM direction, earlier post on X, these strikes will continue imposing a heavy cost on Iranian forces and degrade their ability to attack, innocent civilians and commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Announcement came hours after U.S. Navy-led Joint Maritime Information Center said it will resume a blockade of Iranian ports, oil terminals, and coastal areas beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday. The blockade will apply to any vessel, regardless of the flag it flies. The resumption of the U.S. blockade against Iran follows the initial implementation from April 13th to June 18th, CENTCOM wrote. In another post on X, CENTCOM forces redirected more than 140 compliant vessels, disabled 9 non-compliant ships, and allowed over 50 commercial vessels supporting humanitarian aid to pass through the blockade during the 2-month period. The JMIC said neutral transit through the Strait of Hormuz heading to or from non-Iranian destinations will not be impeded. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps on Monday claimed strikes against Bahrain and Oman. It said the attacks destroyed radar systems in Oman and targeted U.S. military facilities on the southern edge of Manama, Bahrain's capital. In addition to targeting U.S. military facilities, infrastructure in Jafar, Bahrain, where fires are raging, the Navy of the Revolutionary Guards has targeted and destroyed the long-range airborne FPS radar and ship detection radar in the Sultanate of Oman, said in a statement according to the IRGC carried by Stefan news outlet, according to CBS News. Jordan's military said Monday it shot down 4 Iranian missiles over the country, which Tehran said were intended as retaliation for U.S. strikes. Quote, at dawn today, air defense systems intercepted and shot down 4 missiles that had entered Jordanian airspace from Iranian territory. An official source of the Jordanian General Staff told CBS News, adding that there were no reports of injuries or damage to property. The region is becoming inflamed as Iran is now hitting other nations as well. The president also wanted to say that the U.S. could get reimbursed 20% on cargo shipped through Hormuz. He said Monday the United States is reinstating a blockade on Iran in the Strait of Hormuz and will charge ships for safe passage after another heavy exchange of fire threatened negotiations aimed at ending the war. He said on social media that Iranian ships will no longer be able to travel through the strait, and America will charge a 20% toll on eligible cargo. As the conflict with Iran continued, goes on to say that we are reinstating the Iranian blockade, all in capital letters, so named because it is only stopping Iran ships or customers from entering or leaving, Trump said online. All other countries will have fair and open use of the strait. The president said the toll would help cover any and all costs necessary to do the job of providing safety and security to this very volatile section of the world. The latest exchange of fire, of course, was sparked by an Iranian attack on a container ship on Sunday. Iran says it has a right to manage traffic through the strait and potentially charge fees in accordance with the interim peace deal. I think the president thinks not. Oil prices jumped nearly 5% on Monday before falling back. U.S. benchmark crude, which had risen to nearly $120 a barrel at the height of the war, was trading around $72.92. Markets were mixed. U.S. military said it struck dozens of sites in the strikes on Monday, including air defense systems, radar sites, missile and drone equipment, and small boats. It said Iran does not control the Strait of Hormuz. The European Union's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, called for the strait to be open as it was before the war. Quote, freedom of navigation has to be respected, end quote, she said. Mohammed Mokber, an advisor to Iran's supreme leader, wrote that Tehran would fight for the strait. Quote, we defend it so that in the future, for the passage of our ships, we're not forced to pay tribute to the enemy, he wrote on X. Retreating from this vital matter has no place in the mind of any friend of Iran. Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard, key power center in the country's theocracy that holds or controls its ballistic missile arsenal, said the Strait of Hormuz is, quote, our territory, and we will not allow a rogue and child-killing army from the other side of the world to continue its illegal interference in it, end quote. I don't think they have anything that they can do about it right now. Missile alert sirens sounded 3 times Monday in Bahrain, home of the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, and Kuwait said it was intercepting hostile fire. There was no immediate word on damage in either country. In Jordan, the kingdom's military said it shot down 4 Iranian missiles in an incident that resulted in 0 casualties or material damage. Jordan also hosts U.S. military forces and aircraft. And I think there's a few other news items there as far as particulars. We'll leave that as it is. I wanted to get to some of these other. This Pickaxe Mountain. He says it will take out the fortified mountain in Iran. The president on Monday said that the U.S. would take out Pickaxe Mountain in Iran as he warned that Washington would continue to hit the country hard. Quote, "We're going to take out Pickaxe Mountain. Tell the Iranians to be ready," Trump said in an interview on the Hugh Hewitt show. Many news organizations are reporting that this afternoon and evening. We're watching Pickaxe Mountain closely. We see no activity there. They're not doing well with their nuclear situation. Every time we hear about it, we blow it up. So they don't like talking about it. But we'll probably give Pickaxe a shot relatively soon, the president said. Pickaxe Mountain, located near Iran's heavily damaged Natanz uranium enrichment facility, is a heavily fortified site that hosts two deeply buried tunnel complexes that experts have assessed as beyond the reach of the most powerful bunker buster bombs in the U.S. arsenal. Trump early on Monday said the United States was reinstating its blockade of the Iranian shipping in the Gulf and would ensure that the Strait of Hormuz stays open for a fee after the two sides exchange more missiles and drone attacks. We're going to hit them very hard tonight, and we're going to hit them very hard tomorrow. And there's not a thing they can do about it. There's expletive in front of that. There's not a blank thing they can do about it, he said on the Hugh Hewitt show. So we're continuing to see this escalate. UN agency rejected the president's Hormuz transit fees. They're the agency responsible for creating and maintaining a regulatory framework for international shipping, said Monday it opposes any transit fees for commercial vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz. The statement by an International Maritime Organization spokesperson came after the president earlier today said that he would impose a 20% cargo fee on all commercial vessels passing through the strait. I think that they got that mixed up because he meant Iranian. We've always been consistent on our stance on fees. They stand firmly against charging fees for passage through straits used for international navigation. There's no legal basis through which to introduce mandatory tolls simply to transit through a strait. Well, I would agree. I think that this is just targeted Iran. And their territorial waters are pretty close to it, I'm sure. I don't know. We will see. Nordic American Tanker CEO Herbjørn Hansen told CNBC that Trump's 20% fee is unrealistic, adding that Iran and the U.S. have to agree on how the strait would be administered. Quote, "Iran is suffering, America is suffering, 192 countries outside the Hormuz Strait are suffering," Hansen said. "Oh, don't build it up. I don't think we're suffering that much." In June, months after the U.S. and Israel launched a campaign targeting Iran's political leadership and military infrastructure, Tehran implemented tolls of up to $2 million per vessel passing through the strait, one of the world's key energy choke points, hence why we're there. Tehran assured it would use its best efforts to ensure safe passage of commercial vessels through the strait for 60 days. That didn't last, though. The commercial vessels have been using an alternate route hugging Oman's coast under U.S. naval protection, which inflamed Iran. They have repeatedly fired on those vessels and recently declared the strait closed. It doesn't make it closed, though. The U.S. stated that Iran failed to adhere to the agreement, and Trump declared the MOU over. Transit tolls through the strait are against international law. James Crascott, expert on international maritime law at the U.S. Naval War College, told CNBC. He said Iran cannot unilaterally oppose a change to traffic routes through Hormuz under the Convention on International Maritime Organization and the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. He added that Iran has a legal duty to comply with the traditional route through Hormuz, known as the Traffic Separation Scheme, because of its obligations under those treaties. I didn't hear them talking too much about that recently, only when the president said that he was going to do that to Iran. They haven't said anything. At least they're speaking out now. Continuing the news, of course, Lindsey Graham passed away yesterday. Today, his sister was nominated to finish the Senate term. I think most people on the Republican side are happy with that. Darling Graham Norton, has been named as her late brother's temporary replacement in the U.S. Senate. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster announced at a news conference at the State House on Monday that Norden would serve the remaining months on Graham's current term, which expires in January. A person familiar with the appointment process but not authorized to speak about it publicly said Norden will be sworn in Wednesday. She will be the first woman to represent the state in the U.S. Senate. It is such an honor, Norden said. Lindsey has always been there for me, and now I will be there for him. Graham died over the weekend at age 71. He never married or had a family of his own, but Norden was often by her brother's side for the political touch points of his career, speaking at events and appearing in some of his campaign ads. After their parents died at a young age, Graham was left to raise his sister, for whom he later became legal guardian. They were very close. She was there as he filed re-election paperwork earlier this year, along with her children and grandchildren. The special election will be held next month to pick a new Republican nominee in the general election for Graham's seat. He has been seeking a fifth term this year. The rare open Senate seat has ignited a scramble among South Carolina's most ambitious conservatives who have been eager to climb the political ladder. Republicans just finished a sprawling and bruising contest to figure out their nominee for succeeding McMaster, who's wrapping up his second term. State Attorney General Alan Wilson won the nomination, overcoming a field that included Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette, Representative Nancy Mace, and Ralph Norman, all of whom are now eyeing Graham's seat following his death over the weekend. According to South Carolina law, a one-week filing period for a special primary election begins on the second Tuesday after the candidate's death, or July 21st. The special election will be held on the second Tuesday after that filing period closes, or August 11th. Any necessary runoff would follow 2 weeks after that, or August 25th. From that point, the new nominee would have just over 2 months to campaign for the general election on November 3rd. Amazing. This is happening so much, but that's politics. Many platitudes have been coming out about the late Rick Santorum said Senator Graham was amazing. Rick Grinnell, Graham brought honesty to D.C. Representative Biggs, quote, tragic loss. Senator Tim Scott, quote, Graham was statesman. His final days were focused on Ukraine. In fact, he had just returned from a trip to meet with Zelensky in Ukraine. For his part, Zelensky said he was deeply saddened by Graham's passing. In a statement posted Sunday on X, Zelensky said Graham visited Ukraine 10 times since Russia launched its invasion in 2022 and stood with the Ukrainian people, quote, when it was most needed, end quote. We remained in constant dialogue, and I will miss our conversations, Zelensky wrote. We met twice in just the past week. Zelensky praised Graham for championing bipartisan and bicameral U.S. support for Ukraine, saying the senator had recently been working on initiatives aimed at bringing peace closer, including stronger sanctions against Russia. Quote, we will always be especially grateful for the recognition of our people and words of admiration for the courage of Ukraine's defenders, Zelensky said. Calling Graham, quote, a determined leader, Zelensky said his death was a major loss. Quote, America and the world have lost a determined leader, he wrote. Our condolences go to Lindsey's family, loved ones, and everyone who had the privilege of working alongside him. Preliminary indications have said that he died from aortic dissection caused by basically cardiovascular disease. So we will see in the days ahead as they announce more on that. President Bush said he was a knowledgeable senator who grasped the world. On Sunday, he said that he was a lawmaker who grasped why American power abroad matters, as tributes poured in for the 71-year-old's foreign policy hawk who died Saturday night after his office described as a brief and sudden illness. Quote, Laura and I were saddened to wake up to the shocking news of Senator Lindsey Graham's death, Bush said in a joint statement with the former First Lady. He was a knowledgeable senator who understood how the world works and how important America's international engagement is to resist tyranny. The former president called Graham, quote, a kind and funny man who loved our country and loved serving it, adding that South Carolina was fortunate to have such a committed public servant in its corner, and I was fortunate to have known Lindsey Graham, end quote. So there'll be services for that soon. That'll all be in the news as they lay him to rest. The toll plan through the Hormuz could raise nearly $200 billion going back to the Strait. So I think that they won't that won't go along easily. I think that people would want that, but I don't think they can do it either. CENTCOM said sea drones make combat debut in Iran strikes. They used unmanned surface vessels in combat for the first time, striking an Iranian naval facility that the military said supported attacks on commercial shipping. In a post on X, CENTCOM said the operation took place Saturday and targeted a submarine and ship maintenance facility at Iran's Bandar Abbas naval base. According to the military, 3 Corsair unmanned surface vessels struck the port after one-way attack drones were deployed. Yesterday, using multiple one-way attack surface drones, CENTCOM forces successfully struck a submarine and ship maintenance facility in Iran, the command said. They described the operation as the first combat use of sea drones by American forces. The command said the strikes damaged Iran's ability to carry out attacks on commercial shipping in the region. Quote, last night's strikes degraded Iran's ability to continue attacking commercial shipping, CENTCOM said. The military did not provide additional details about the extent of the damage, whether the Iranian vessels were destroyed or disabled, or whether there were casualties. Iranian officials have not publicly commented on the reported strike. Bandar Abbas is located along the Strait of Hormuz, and it is Iran's principal naval base and the key hub for the Iranian Navy, whatever's left of it, and the IRGC Core Navy. This is going to be a touch point for future operations to destroy their ability by air and sea to be able to attack those ships. Let's get to one more bit of news before we end this PNN news. There's so much going on. The SAVE Act is in the news. Senator Graham had, in fact, said he was going to help push this forward. Senator Marshall said to advance the SAVE Act piece by piece. So there is, and this has been talked about before, not doing it as one piece, but bringing it along and voting on certain sections of it, I guess. So we will see. But that was his last really conversation with the president, was about passing the SAVE Act. So we will see if that is what that will happen. But it is something that is certainly on the size or the mind of the president and the senators. Another interesting article is the president has slashed the size of 2 Utah national monuments. He signed orders on Monday, today, has slashed the size of 2 national monuments in southern Utah by more than 90% to allow for grazing, motorized recreation, logging, and other resource development in the region. The proclamations reduced the Bears Ears National Monument to 121,100 acres from 1.36 million acres and cut the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument to 181,500 acres from 1.87 million acres. He made the announcement at the White House alongside Utah Governor Spencer Cox and the state's 2 U.S. senators, Mike Lee and John Curtis. Quote, we're doing something very dramatic and very important for the people of Utah and the people of our country because many people use it. Trump reduced the size of the monuments during his first term, and they were later expanded while former President Joe Biden despite opposition from Utah state officials. He's not doing anything the state does not want. They're before it. The Labor Department is targeting New York's unemployment fraud. They have sent a federal investigative strike team to New York to review unemployment insurance fraud that the department says is costing taxpayers an estimated $2 million a day. The New York Post reported that the strike team includes investigators from the Department of Labor's Office of Inspector General, who will work to identify fraudulent claims, recover taxpayer funds, and pursue criminal prosecutions. The Inspector General Anthony Esposito said the effort is intended to recover stolen funds and hold those responsible to account. Quote, in partnership with Acting Secretary Keith Sunderling, we are taking a tough on crime approach to dismantle this fraud, hunt down every stolen dollar, and prosecute those responsible, Esposito said, according to the Post. Labor Department leaders said New York recorded more than $750 million. Let me say that again, $750 million in improper unemployment insurance payments and $507 million in fraudulent payments last year. The state has recovered about 25% of their fraudulently obtained funds. The deployment follows a Labor Department initiative announced in June directing governors in all U.S. states and territories to strengthen oversight of unemployment insurance programs and address fraud, waste, and abuse. Sunderling warned states that the department is preparing to use every available enforcement tool, including withholding administrative funding for the first time, to protect taxpayer dollars and improve program integrity. We are officially putting governors on notice, Sunderling said. Quote, the American people will no longer tolerate the blatant waste, fraud, and abuse of their hard-earned tax dollars. No state should allow it either. If states allow it, they would suffer the consequences. It's amazing. In California, they were cited for more than $20 billion in federal unemployment insurance debt tied to fraud, improper payments, and mismanagement. Illinois was reported to have improperly paid more than $320 million in unemployment benefits. New York's Governor Kathy Hochul's administration has said the state takes unemployment insurance fraud seriously, has strengthened safeguards since the pandemic, and continues working with law enforcement to investigate fraudulent claims while ensuring eligible workers receive benefits. At least for right now, it seems like maybe, just maybe, the free ride is over. Well, that's about all we have time for. We keep these short in the evening, and we will, again, post if there's breaking news. Don't forget, we now have our Roku channel. We are uploading that, setting the playlist, getting ready to go live to it. In fact, we may tomorrow or the next day. We will probably go live for the first time on our Roku channel at Wolf Nation Network on Roku. You can search in the apps and download it and be ready. There are many exciting things that's going to happen there. We'll also be probably tying in our radio station audio to that, but it certainly will be live there as well. All those things we're working on this week. There are other features and things that we're working on, but those are big. New equipment to be set up that still hasn't happened here in the studio, but we are fixing to begin on all that. Just finding the right time to take everything down and put everything back up. Also, don't forget our Substack, which is listed on the screen, the QR code. There's some programming, that is only found there, and you must be a paid subscriber to access that. You get one free view to see if you like it. If you don't, that's fine. You can follow for free, and all of our shows go there. But there are a couple of shows, and we're going to be expanding that will only be found in the Substack, and eventually subscriptions at our Roku. We're working to increase the ability of this network, and that's going to take some financial additions. We need to be able to raise a little amount of funds, and we're keeping that very cheap, $5 a month. Pay by the year, $4.17. We will continue to have information about that. Be ready. Go download the app. And we're also doing lives on TikTok Live now on Thursday nights, sometimes additional ones. Those also show up behind the paywall at Substack. If you miss it, you can see it there. Again, it's only $5 a month. We also are doing lives on some other ones. We'll have more about that later. Again, all the free content is still there, will always be there, including PNN News, unless it's a special feature of interview of some kind that we may put there. All the sports and the morning shows, special features, and everything will always be free at the Wolf Nation Network. But there are certain things that will go by there. New programming will go behind the paywall. Certain additional parts of interviews and behind the scenes conversations and or hijinks that occur here inside the studio. We try to give those that pay a little bit more, a little bit behind the scenes, and maybe a little bit just us talking about life in general, and just uploading those for your viewing pleasure. Thank you for all the support that you give us. We are blessed mightily. Don't forget, every morning, first light, it comes on around 5:30. Sometimes that could be as around 5:45, depending on what time we get that live going. Sometimes there's issues to that, but usually not. Then at 6 a.m., most mornings, sometimes, or 6. We'll play a rerun of something live replay. But Cornbread Man Morning Show. And then at 12 noon, don't forget the new feature, Wolf Report. We get a lot of positive feedback about the Wolf Report. It's a short news bite, some good news, sports. Never know what's going to be found there. It's only about 25 minutes long, just slightly less than what PNN News is. But PNN News will always break in with breaking news if we need to. Those are 5 days a week. And on Saturday at 7 a.m., First Light is 1 hour, where it is 15 to 17 minutes through the week. First Light is also heard on 4 radio stations across the South, over in Huntsville, Asheville, Chattanooga, and Augusta, Georgia. We're trying to reach people with the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. This helps drive everything we do, because we want everything we do to be a blessing, to give you a laugh, to give you something to help you in your life. And we know that we're doing that. We have God's blessing on it, and we thank the good Lord for it. I want to thank my crew members and all those that take part in different shows. Continue to pray for the Pods family. I think Sir Chaser will be back this Wednesday, and we're looking forward to that. Continue to pray for my family as we are still navigating the grief of losing my lovely wife. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Help us share it out. Give us a follow. We're growing across all channels, and we are extremely blessed, and we give Jesus all the credit and you good and fine people. And we thank you. And to those that don't like us, it's okay. The ugly comments are okay too. You took the time to give us something. That's okay. I look at it as a divine appointment. Maybe you just needed to reach out. Maybe you'll look back on the day that you give us that ugly comment. But at least it lets us know you're there and you're watching. And you know what? That's okay too. That's the freedom we enjoy in America. And God bless America. And God bless you. We'll go out with some music. Take care.
Morning breaks, we turn it on. Top stories coming fast and strong.